Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Watkins Glen International is the spiritual home of road racing in the USA, with crowds flocking to see top-level racing since the 1940s. Indeed, virtually all major road classes in North America have competed here at one stage or another, from Formula One through to Can-Am and the NASCAR Cup Series. And formerly known as the Glen, the circuit is now owned by NASCAR, and it's played host to one of the most famous road racing spectacles since 1986. And of course, you can't come to Watkins Glen without mentioning this other famous race, the 6 Hours of the Glen, one of IMSA's most attended races, and you can certainly see why. Watkins Glen offers drivers, or both drivers and cars alike, a challenge, and I'm sure our drivers will absolutely relish that challenge today. Welcome to round 4 of the SRF Weekend Warrior Series. After the heart-pounding action we were treated to 1 week ago, I cannot wait to get this race underway. And well, all that's left to do is introduce your commentary team for today. My name is Sebastian Boscher-Williams. In the virtual production booth, we have Lewis Ward. But right now, I'm joined by Steve Ray. Steve, welcome to the commentary booth once again. Well, it's another week and another completely different track style, different circuit. You know, Bathurst 1 week ago, it was all about survival, and yet I hazard to guess today, Steve, to say it's going to be all about that slipstream.
It's going to be about survival as well. You're exactly right. The slipstream, the survival through this, it's all out, fast pace on this track. It's survival through the draft.
Survival through the draft. I quite like that, actually. It's certainly going to be a really interesting race to watch today, and I think also qualifying is going to be really crucial, isn't it, Steve? Because if you start lower down the field and you get caught up in a little bit of a slipstream train, you're not really going to be able to find your way through the field, and actually there's not too many overtaking opportunities on the circuit, so you know, actually qualifying is really, really important tonight.
Yeah, you're going to see packs. You're going to see groups, and you want to be in the lead pack, and then you'll see a draft gap that the next group's going to lose that, and you won't be able to catch up. So within the pack you're in, you'll be able to draft and pass at a couple of places, but once your pack loses the draft of the pack in front, it's over unless something happens and they split up, and then you might be able to catch part of their pack.
that's certainly going to be the case today. Well, as we have a look at the moment, this is Mira Hatsuki just going down the back straight in. We're going really old school, aren't we, tonight? The old classic layout of Watkins Glen. So, you know, we've removed the bus stop chicane, we've removed the boot section. Where do you anticipate drivers being able to get past or overtake a driver today? Because, you know, for me, the two major overtaking opportunities on the circuit have disappeared in this configuration.
You've got the long back straight that goes in the carousel, so you'll see a draft there and some diving down to the bottom of the carousel to take a lead. And then the next straight coming up to the last couple of corners, you'll see a draft on that short straight. And the leading on to the main straight, you're going to see a draft. Some guys are going to kind of watch their P's and Q's on that front straight, because if you dive down and take a pass into turn one, you're just going to get passed right back, going back through the S's in that next straight. So you got to kind of pick and choose your fights.
It's going to be such a tactical race here tonight. 40 minutes out of 20 gone in qualifying so far, and Weiger to the top of the timing stand over there. 18.56 to their name, and can anybody challenge him, I wonder, as we have a look at the moment. It's so many cars out on the circuit at the moment, Steve. It's going to be so intriguing as everybody's crowding the back straight. I'm surprised that anybody is even finding any space out on the circuit. Somebody was attempting to use the bus stop chicane, I think in an attempt just to get out of the way. Going to be so difficult to find a little bit of a gap. Steve Elson currently finds himself in second place. Oh, big crash into the final corner. Fairly a common occurrence around this circuit, but Steve Elson having a good qualifying session, that's going to set him back. He should just have enough time to get back out onto the circuit, but Elson, surely, Steve, his confidence must be dented a little bit, just like, well, the bonnet of his SRF car was as well.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's with this draft strong track, there's going to be incidents like that, and you've just got to really pay attention and watch when you try to make those passes, and somebody's going to slip and get a little wiggle, and there's going to be 2 or 3 cars gone.
As we see the pole sitter come into the pits, I think didn't like the look of all the traffic ahead of him. Elson, Latsky, Pinero all out on the circuit. Pinero coming off of a great Bathurst round, taking the win in fairly spectacular fashion. Naselli down in 6th place with, well, the man of the race really, Jörg up in 5th at the moment, proving once again that he is no slouch in this car, and really giving the challenge to all of the Spec 1 drivers out on the circuit. The 249 goes also wide through the final corner. That's Paul Jackson just getting out of the way of Jörg Meine. Another car into the wall at the final corner, and that might just disrupt a few of the drivers coming through to finish their lap. Steve Elson could not improve on his current, on his latest attempts. Steve Elson still just under 0.07 of a second behind the pole sitter. Beccaro, you see, racing into turn 1. Steve, that's not the racing line you want to take into turn 1. That's not going to help, excuse me, your pace at all. And you know, you might gain a slipstream down the straight, but you've lost a 10th or 2 even before you've hit the brakes for turn 1.
Yeah, you've really need to use turn 1 to set up the long back straight.
You see further down the field, well, further down the field, I was going to say, Kane Letsky in 3rd place at the moment, just quickly pulls into the pit lane. Too wide, though, through the carousel. Well, on the exit of the carousel, in fact, everybody taking liberties with the track limits. You can get away with it around that part of the circuit, but doesn't necessarily look great on the broadcast. It has sort of a 2019 IndyCar vibes, but we won't bring that up quite yet. Jason Green currently in 11th place in class, 19th overall. Green needs to find just a little bit more pace. A driver, as we were saying, Steve, you know, how crucial qualifying was. A driver that needs to improve. And look at this pack. Was what, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars in that pack, all just sort of vaguely lapping away together. But, oh, I was going to say, if there's an incident, if there's a little bit of a slowdown, a concertina effect, you all lose time. And, well, you had the perfect example, Andrea Favini falling foul, running into the back of the car ahead of him, loses time, and that is going to hurt Favini's chance at challenging the Spec 2 pole.
Yeah, also you get an incident like that, and it wipes out your lap time for that lap. So.
You're right, of course, invalidations, incident points, if you gain any incidents during qualifying, it invalidates the lap, whether that's a CRX for a wall contact or anything further up the scale. Here we have Stephen Mitchell, the 917. Where can he put his car? Currently sits in 35th place. Staggeringly though, I mean, he's 35th, but he's only 1.2 seconds off the pole sitter. So not too far behind. Just goes to show how close this qualifying session is and how crucial even gaining a few hundredths of a second can be. Well, Mateus Weger still in the lead with Simones now up into third. Great last lap from him. He might just about get another lap. I think it won't. I think that might be Felix Simoes' best opportunity in this session. Less than a minute to go, and everybody you see crossing the line will not be able to get another lap under thereabouts. People diving to the pit lane as well. The 212, that's Alan McCain. Where can he go? Can he improve with his pace, his promise that he showed in Bathurst 1 week ago? Will start, the highest up he will start, I should say, will be third place in the Spec 2 class. Bobby Moss, the 220. Where can he finish? I wonder. Just going through the penultimate corner, and it's all about keeping it smooth, keeping it calm, isn't it, Steve? Because there is lap time to be found at every part of this circuit if you're brave enough. A little bit of a tap of the wall maybe for Moss, but certainly pushing the limits out there.
Yeah, you've got to be super smooth on this track without any areas that you can make up time. It's all about smoothness, keeping momentum going.
All about momentum. This race will all be about the momentum, but there is the 22 car of Mateus Weger. He will be your pole sitter. Doesn't look like anybody really is out there being able to challenge. And, well, you know what I said about drivers not being able to get another lap in. Well, time is still ticking that counter up to 20.5 minutes. So drivers getting the opportunity to get their final lap in. John Vogel looking fast. Improvement through Sector 1, an improvement through Sector 2. Where can the 25th place driver go? Can he improve? Can he find his way further up the field? Yes, he can. Up into 16th place. A great improvement in the dying seconds of qualifying. And a big surprise for me, Steve, Maurizio Naselli in 9th place, 8th place in class. We don't tend to see Naselli qualifying that low down the field.
Yeah, apparently he didn't get a good strong draft for this one, so it doesn't take much, and you're going to be 3, 4, 5, 10 spots down on this grid. So
it's so damaging, I think, for your overall race chances today. But, well, as I say, in motor racing, anything can happen, and to be honest, in any motorsports, it probably will. So drivers just finishing out their qualifying. A few drivers did not set a qualifying lap. So 46 drivers, Steve, completed a qualifying lap. So a really, really strong field around Watkins Glen today.
Yeah, it's going to be busy with 46 drivers on this short a track, with it being shortened without the boot. It's going to be really tight.
It's certainly going to be tight. If you were, well, I'll tell you what, we'll go through that in a minute. But here are your qualifying results, and therefore your grid for today's. Mateus Weger will be on the pole, almost 7,000 seconds behind is Steve Elson. Felix Simoes third, Jane Lasky in fourth, Marco Pinheiro fifth, with Jorg Miney starting sixth, but on the pole for the Masters class. Great job by him. Leonardo Pinheiro in seventh, with Lynn in eighth, Maurizio Naselli ninth, with Yanda in 10th place, the 177 car. And 11th, we have Flavio Andalo, Jeff Richter in 12th, Miro Hatsky 13th, and Todd Hansen takes I do believe the pole in the Spec 2 class. Then 15th, we have Bob Kern. John Vogel, 16th. Aaron Vogel in 17th. Alan McCain, 18th. Dan Babbitt, 19th. Antonio Reese in 20th place. Chris Murakami, 21st. Jason Green starts in 22nd place. Andrea Favini in 23rd. Jeff Cantor, 24th. Jeff Jacobson in 25th, with Michael Nelson starting alongside him in 26th place. 27th is Yuri Cox, with Megan Overstreet starting 28th. Ken Bately 29th, and Bobby Moss rounds out your top 30. Charlie Vaccaro just outside the top 30. He'll start in 31st place. And Christopher L. Smith 32nd, and still just about within a second of the pole time. Paul Jackson 33rd, Jim Brewster 34th, Ian Gibson in 35th, with Marcus Burkett 36, Stephen Mitchell 37th, Colby Kersey in 38th place, Gianni Longjin 39th, with Sean Vincent in 40th, John Wilson 41st, Tom Gradwell 42nd, Brian Short 43rd, Gary Voldbolt 44th, Adam Bradshaw 45th, with Viglini the final driver to set qualifying time. But Tony Rodriguez and Lesnoy did not set a qualifying lap time, Steve, but I do believe they are out on the track. So if my eyes aren't mistaking me, that's going to be 49 cars taking the start for today's proceedings.
How awesome is that, huh? This is going to be a lot of fun.
It is really awesome. I love the SRF Weekend Warrior Series. It's a great way to end your Sunday with your commentating, whether you're watching or even driving in the series. So they all now come down the back straight. And I ask you this every week, Stevie, but I'm always really, really interested to hear your answer. How would you play the start? Is this a race about getting to the front of the pack, or is it about just really being second in your pack that you're in until the very final lap, when you spring a surprise, send it down the inside, and take the position in the dying seconds of the race?
Yeah, for the finish, you're going to want to be second or third even in a pack. The start, you're going to want to not push it so much, settle in, and just try to survive the start. For the finish, you're definitely going to want to be second or third coming into that last straight. So it's going to be interesting. The guy's been doing a really good job on the starts. A little tidbit, our strength of field is typically over 3,000, 3,100, 3,200 strength of field, even with 40, 45, 50 cars. So it's a good bunch of guys.
Oh, it most definitely is so. Wow, here we go. All eyes are on the 22 of Weiger. He will decide when he wants to get this race underway. It's the 22 car on the inside, and then you have the 56 of Steve Elson, his best qualifying in this season so far. So around the final corner, the pace car is in, and we get ready to go racing here at Watkins Glen. And Mateus gets a good start. He is away. And it's a good start as well for Felix Samoes in second place, already gaining on Steve Elson, who is demoted to third for the braking zone of turn one. Late braking there from Latsky into turn one, almost colliding with Elson. Just about gets away with it. Everybody so far making their way through turn one as we now head up towards turns 2 and 3. Up the S's, up the steep embankment. We've got cars 2, almost 3 wide in the background, but Mateus Weiger doesn't need to worry about it. But now look at this, Elson with the overspeed, with the slipstream. It's going to be 2 wide. But Felix Samoes decides, no, let's have 3 wide on the opening lap, and by the time they've all hit the brakes, it will be Felix Samoes in the race lead, with the driver who started in pole position almost going to be in third. They're 4 wide as they head round the carousel for the first time. Everybody just about gets away without too much of an issue as they all file their way through. What an amazing, impressive sight that is to see. Down the inside, oh, car spinning off in the background there. That's a Yonder. He is off the 177 car. Another one as
that was
well.
Antonio Reese.
Antonio Reese, another driver who had such promise at Bathurst. Major drama at the final few corners of the circuit, but what a start from Samoes, and really I think caught both Elton and Weiger by surprise. And wow, really interesting start to this race, Steve.
Matthias, that's his best start, first pole, I think, with the league. And he's doing a great job up front. So, but you saw coming down that straight, you don't want to be the lead car. You're just going to get eaten up.
Well, the lead car is Samoa's. Weiger, though, tries to retake his lead, but in the background, well, it's like a phoenix rising from the ashes. There's Pinheiro. Where did he come from? Up 4 places from where he started. Elton getting swamped. I think Elton started this lap in 2nd place. He's going to end it, if he's lucky, in 7th. There's 2 wide at the head of the field, but Pinheiro will take the race lead. Latsky in 2nd place, Weiger in 3rd, Maney up to 4th. Great job by the Masters driver as he tries to send it to the inside. That's a 925 car trying to make his way past. Oh, there's a car up in the background on the exit of turn 5. Who is facing backwards? Is that, I think that might be Tom, with Tom Gradwell, but Gradwell heading back to the pits. It was John Bogle, the number 4. He had a great final lap in qualifying, but couldn't quite deliver on the promise. So Latsky is now your race leader. Latsky, I mean, these drivers, you know, we're starting 6th, 7th, 8th on the grid, and then in the race lead at the moment. Just goes to show, Steve, the power of the slipstream. And, well, just ask Steve Elton about that. Currently in 7th place.
Yeah, the slipstream is so strong with these cars, and the way this track is configured, it's all about working the draft. So you'll see this time after time, lap after lap. Whoever's in front on this straight most likely won't be there by the time they get around to the carousel.
Weiger goes to the outside, tries to make it 3 wide between himself, Maney and Pinheiro. They're almost 4 wide as I think Pinheiro just backs out. No, Pinheiro sent it to the inside. He's the new race leader. Latsky in 2nd place, Viga in 3rd with Maney dropping into 4th. Samoa's off the track in the background, so I do believe is Latsky trying to keep his foot into it as they head up towards the penultimate corner. And one of the best overtaking opportunities on the circuit. Maney and Latsky side by side. Maney on the outside line. He takes the position away from Latsky. Latsky started the race, or the lap I should say, in 1st. Finds himself in 3rd. More action heading off in the background. This is Favini on the inside, or on the outside, with Jeff Richter on the inside, trying to get past Favini. Andrea Favini currently in 16th place overall, but 3rd in class. Tries to defend to the inside, but ends up having a little bit of a go at Bob Kern. Kern lets him go. Everybody, though, running wide through turn 1. Stevie, and what a start. And I don't have a suspicion that this is going to let up any time soon.
Now, this is going to be 40 minutes of all-out. What you see is what you got right now for 40 minutes. So, apparently, there's Youngsy Lin in the middle of that. I called him in a wreck earlier, and apparently it was somebody with a similar paint job. But Youngsy's still in there, and he's going to be fighting for the lead as well.
Youngsy Lin, what can he do? Jorg Maney goes to the top of the timing stands. He will lead this race. It feels a little bit like a poison chalice, though, at the moment. Lin and Pinheiro scrapping out in the background. There's a big gap out to the back of this pack. Murakami and Duratsky, they're having a little bit of a battle with Murakami just about losing out. Actually, it's Murakami and vaguely with Fritzter and Duratsky battling out almost 4 wide into the entry of the final corner. Making an overstreet there, just watching it all unfold. It's like NASCAR. Stevie, there's 2 lanes around every part of this circuit.
At least 2 lanes, but yeah, like I said in the opening, you're going to see packs. This second pack, Peloton lost touch with the lead pack, so now you got a second group right there.
I don't even know how many wide there were on the exit of turn 1 there as they head up the S's for the 5th time of asking. The 43 leads this pack. That's Fritzter, Duratsky, and vaguely side by side by side. And just in the background you have Chris Murakami just waiting, trying to find a way past, but there's nowhere to go. The track is just full of Spec 4 racers. A little bit of bump drafting there. That's a little bit tactical from Murakami. Fritzter just losing out as they head towards turn 5. Oh, contact made there as everybody managed to keep their place firmly on the circuit. They have, but they too haven't. Jacobson, and I think that was Overstreet, off the circuit. into turn 5, and I'm surprised, Stevie, we haven't seen more of those incidents happen earlier on.
Yeah, like I said, these guys take this pretty serious. They practice a lot. They know each other really well, and typically we have some pretty clean races. We give bonus points for 0 and 1 incident races, and usually there's several that get those even in the 40-minute races. So doing a good job as always. You're obviously, with this many cars, you're going to have incidents, but this league is typically minimizes those incidents.
I had to guess that a few drivers might be having a few 4Xs just from the bump drafting that they're doing. This is the battle for the lead, Lynn in the lead, but Maney and Latsky, well, they're starting to separate themselves from Elson, Samoes, and Viger. So looking like at the moment that peloton that you I mean, such a good word for racing that's going on at the moment, starting to extend their gap, so the top 3 running away with it. So you almost need that Samoes and Elson just need to work together to catch up and make sure that these top 3 don't escape down the road. But Maney, he wants this race lead again. He wants to lead this race for as long as he can, side by side, heading into the penultimate corner. Lynn on the inside. Maney tries to go all the way around the outside. That becomes the inside line for the final corner. Can brake late, get the move done. Maney takes the lead once again, but I had to guess Stevie to say that won't be for too long.
No, it's like you said, it's going to change every lap. That whoever leads into turn 1, by the time you get down the carousel, you're going to be 3rd, 4th at least. Can we call this formation racing?
We could call it many things. Amazing, I think, would be at the top of my list to call this. Superb action so far. Tell you what, there's 2 people I feel bad for at the moment. It's our director at the moment, Lewis Walsh, who's doing a great job at just managing to display all the action. And the car spotters, they must be going absolutely mental at the moment. Well, this is the battle for the lead. 4 wide in the background, you see, bumping between the 2. They're going to try and go 5 wide. Oh, crash! They all go flying through 3, 4 cars off. Lynn involved, you're right. Marnie as well. Latsky, another driver. And Stevie, you just fell. Murakami's off the track as well for good measure. Followed, I think, by Green. I think there's a little bit of contact on the way into turn 5. But it was sort of going that way. They started to push it. They started to get comfortable with going, 4, 5 wide down the straight. And it was only a matter of time before, well, that would really unfold into some quite nasty scenes. And that's certainly what we saw.
Yeah, unfortunately, so many cars so close together, somebody's going to move just a little bit wrong at some point, and you're going to touch somebody else, and you saw the result.
Lynn has got some substantial front right damage, not going to be helping him around this circuit. Such a power-sensitive circuit.
They're getting close to the pit time window, though, so they could some of those guys that got damaged could dive into the pits, get a repair and fuel, and go on for the rest of the race. They are close to the pit window.
If we take a little bit of a breather, this is still the battle for the lead with 6 or so cars involved. Elson all the way down to Vega, and I tell you, actually, so 7 cars. Tell you what, Hansen is up there. He's the Spec 2 driver. I mean, he's on the back of this pack, and if he plays his cards right, he could certainly at some stage be leading overall, and you never know, he could be looking at getting an overall victory. Do not count out Todd Hansen in the 3-1-2 car. He's looking very, very rapid.
All you got to be is to be in the lead pack to have a chance to win this one. So he's even though he's on the back end watching it, he can do it. It's going to determine after the pit stop what happens there is going to break up these packs a little bit more maybe.
See Jeff Richter head to the pit lane. He's decided that he wants a shot of the pack ahead of him, or maybe a little bit of damage afflicting Richter. I wonder. Miro Haratsky also coming into the pits as well as Lynn, so I think the pit window most certainly open now. Murakami in 14th place, battling side by side with Jorg Miney. Miney led this race earlier on, finds himself down in 15th place. He's got a little bit of damage on that car, but it doesn't seem to be affecting his pace too much. Almost runs into the back of Murakami. Murakami catches up to Green as well for good measure as they head down the back straight. They go too wide. Does Mady think about, well, reenacting what happened a few laps ago, trying to make it through wide? No, Sue's going through the middle there. Whoa, who was that? That was a Green Nelson. That was Nelson just sending it down the inside. Nerves of steel. I think he made up 2-3 places. Went a little bit wide through turn 5. I'm not quite sure if that was through amazement or just carrying so much extra speed, but how much pace did Nelson have there?
Draft off of 2 or 3 cars in front of you, and it really makes a ton of difference. If you use that draft, you can pass several cars, just like he showed you. That's a
big accident in the background. Sorry to cut across you there, Stevie. Was that Moss going into the wall? That was a huge incident. It wasn't Moss, I do apologise. Somebody went flying into the wall. A car disintegrated in the background there. I hope I wasn't imagining something, but huge. Was it Dan Babic? Let's have a little bit of a look. Oh, he's touched into the wall. And that is a very, very damaged car. And unluckily for Dan Babic there, Stephen, he's had to tow back to the pit, so he's going to have to wait for a while before he can get going again. So really, really costly there for Babic.
Yeah, it's good to see Dan back. He raced with us for several seasons. This is his first race back with us for quite a while, so it's good to see him. We've got several new guys in there as well, like Moss. So the league is strong. We bring guys back, we bring in new people, and the racing just keeps maintaining the level that we're at.
Well, if after this race you don't fancy driving a spec racer Ford around Watkins Glen Classic, then I don't quite know what we could do to persuade you. This is amazing action so far, and we've only had 13 minutes of it. 14 minutes.
Got a big wreck in the
big accident in the background there. That was a perfect spot there. I didn't quite catch it. Cars on their roof. Who is that? Is that Pinheiro? I wonder. Yes, it was Murakami involved in that as well. Pinero's into the pits, might have just avoided it. I think Murakami's going to have to pull off to the side of the road and tow back, and he's going to have to wait a whole lap's worth of tow. So Sabonis leads this race from Vega. Elton in third, Hansen fourth, but they've fallen away from the top pack. So after having a 7-8 way battle for the lead, it's down to 2 cars battling it out. Not quite sure what caused that in the background there, Stevie. Wonder if you did, but
it looked like coming through the last corner, you just got a little too much of it and spun. And when you spin right in front of the group coming around the last corner, there's nowhere to go for them.
No, there isn't. So that's the second nasty accident that we've seen through the final corner today. And this starts to feel like a race, Stevie, for the Spec 2 guys, for the Masters guys. You know, you've got the top 3 Spec 1 class, you know, fairly maybe expected, but Hansen 4th, Favini 5th, McCain 7th, Vaguely 8th, Hansen up to 3rd is Elton. Dives into the pit lane. Wonder if he's trying to undercut some of the cars around him. But that train there, if they work together, if they start bump drafting, I wonder, that's Favini leading that pack. Could they start to catch up to Hansen? I mean, it's a 5-second gap, so it's fairly, it's certainly a tall order. But if they can catch up, you know, could they work together to close that gap and give us more of a battle up front for the race lead?
It's definitely possible. Like you said, there's a 5-second gap there, so they could gain some in the pit stops, but they're going to have to stay together through the pit stops and gain that. There's only 2 of them up front that were in tow together, so you get 5 guys in tow with chasing down another 2 of them. It's definitely within the realm.
Oh, but the bump drafting there for Mateus Wager, trying to just push Sabonis down the back straight just to get away from Hansen in third and to protect from the undercut from Elson and Pinheiro. Pinheiro pitted a lap earlier than Elson, could not make an impression though on Steve Elson. This is the battle though for the second pack. Jorg Miney still lapping out there. Is he for position? Yes, he is. So yeah. I thought Miney would have come into the pits. He's got a little bit of damage to that car, but still lapping around. Favini up into third as Hansen decides that it's his time to come into the pits. Miney has
Hansen.
Oh, go on.
Hansen was on an island by himself. Somebody else had pitted, so he was out there by himself. So he really didn't have much choice.
all about the slipstream here. It really reminds me of oval racing. So fascinating. That's a send, a late send there. Was that from the 917? I wonder. Very, very late. Oh, there's a car going slowly. I think it's a little bit of a lap car maybe. That might have been Gary Walpole getting out of the way. Yorkmani tries to send it 3 wide. Alan McCain in the middle. Favini on the extreme inside. They're going to go 3 wide. Down the back straight, Yorkmani is picking up a little bit of damage. Will be a little bit slower in a straight line, but still trying to make up places. Goes wide into turn 5. McCain backs out. McCain decides to live another day. Bertoni is getting involved in on the action. Andreas Bertoni, CV, is up 42 places since the race started. And I tell you what, we might just be making that 43 at the moment, following Yorkmani, I should say, through on the inside line. The 227 of Favini tries to hang it around the outside of the penultimate corner, manages to stay ahead of Andreas Bertoni, but I could get over that. Andreas Bertoni up 42 places in this race. Has a think about looking down the inside, can't find a way through on this occasion, forces though Favini to have a look down the inside of Miney, gets the place. But now Yorkmani has the slipstream up the hill, but watch this man, Andreas Bertoni, the number 11 car, sees the two fighting ahead of him. It's almost like he's played some 3D chess here. He knows that if he forces Favini to dive to the inside to overtake Miney and Favini would battle their way up the hill, and Andreas Bertoni can just sneak on through and get up into 3rd place.
Like you said, like I said last week, Bertoni is always starting at the back for whatever reason. He doesn't set a time. He always starts in the back. Last season, every week he would gain 30, 40 positions, and the Bertoni watch continues this season. He starts in the back and gains 30 and 40 positions every week. So it's fun to watch.
Don't you get paid per place that he makes up on the grid? Because he's got some very strange contract stipulations, I wonder. Bertoni makes it 43. Next up for him is Yorkmani, who leads this pack. I wonder if anybody will dive to the inside to get to pit road. Nobody on this occasion. And I tell you what, Stevie, there's not too many drivers that have come into the pits. Ken Bately breaks from the norm, heads into the pits, but the lead driver that's come into the pit so far is Naselli. It is Maurizio Naselli, and Naselli is all the way down in 27th place. So it seems we've got 2 strategies heading here today. It's either you pit early or you stay late, and that is Simones catching up to a little bit of traffic. The 9, if I catch the number there, well, that would be Miro Haratsky getting in the way of our race leader. Favini, well, still battling it out with Miney and Bertoni. Bertoni tries to find a way through, can't, and Miney once again leads this pack. He's up into 3rd. He's still yet to make his stop, and all while they're squabbling, the drivers who have pitted are just starting to catch up. Bertoni now heads to the outside, Miney on the inside as we head into the penultimate corner. By the time they stamp on the brakes, Bertoni is in the lead of this pack. Bertoni's up to 3rd, and Vaguely is in 6th place. 2nd in class. There's a car diving to the pits. Bertoni heads to pit lane. So does Alan McCain. And I wonder now, who has got this strategy worked out, Stevie? Is it better to come in early and just sort of not cost yourself time racing really hard, or is it so crucial to stay in that slipstream that it doesn't matter how hard you race, you'll still gain time because you have that slipstream around the circuit?
Yeah, that slipstream is so important on this track. If you pit early, you risk coming out by yourself. The guys that stay longer are going to stay in the slipstream, and when they pit together later, they're going to be quite a ways ahead of you. So in this game, it's pretty much stay with the guys ahead of you pitting. If you can pit early with the group, you might be okay, but
Hansen has just managed to get past McCain. You see, for 21st place. That'll be much further up the field, though, by the time that the pit stops shake themselves out. Favini and Maney still having a battle. I think they've not really been separated by much more than a couple of tenths of a second for the last few laps. Steve Elson, another driver to come into the pits early, catching up to Pinheiro, but Pinheiro leads that battle, and they were, of course, you know, fighting for the race lead early on. Jorgmani finally decides to come into the pits. That leaves Favini in a little bit of no man's land. Favini has no slipstream, so it is Mani played a little bit of a blinder there. You see the number 227, Favini, just heading up towards turn 2, and I wonder, Stevie, will we see the rest of these cars, you know, Favini, Vaguely, and Darlow in at the end of this lap as they're starting to lose that slipstream benefit that they've had for so many laps?
Yeah, once you lose a slipstream and you're out there on an island by yourself, it's almost better to go ahead and pull the trigger and do your pit stop and come out and hope you hook up with somebody.
Interestingly, Hansen was the net Spec 2 race leader before the pit stops started, and Hansen under pressure from McCain. McCain to the inside. That's Gibson, actually. I do apologise. Gibson trying to make his way past Wilson through turn 5. Gibson late on the brakes, gets the move done, and he finds himself up into 11th place. There is McCain and Hansen going side by side, almost banging wheel arches. McCain on the outside. He's going to have to brake late. Be brave to stick it around the outside. Decides against it, but Hansen pitted early, was one of the cohort that wanted to get in and just get out of the chaos, but McCain, by sticking with it, just like you said, Steve, managed just to use the slipstream, gain some time, and McCain is looking like he's battling for a Spec 2 class victory at the moment.
Yeah, I think those guys, Hansen and McCain, are the going to be the de facto leaders of Spec 2 when Favini and Vaguely pit, Gibson also.
And Darlow, now he decides he wants to be in 3rd place. So once again, we have Spec 1, 2, or Spec 1 top 3. Favini, though, is committed to staying out on the circuit. Fairly, well, you have to give him credit, because I thought he was going to dive into the pits like his other Spec 2 compatriots, but that was not to be the case. Stephen Mitchell and Fritzster, another one of the drivers that came in very early on, I do believe, although it's not showing on our time screen that he came into the pit, so I must have got that a little bit mistaken in my head. Pinheiro, though, starting to catch up to McCain and Hansen, bringing along Elson and Jorgmani for company. I tell you what, and it's something that I've only just noticed, Stevie, is that, you know, the Hansen and McCain battle, they're ahead of Pinheiro, Elson and Miney, and they were battling for the race lead. It could be, if they work together, and, you know, Simones and Wager don't really have that much pace on their in-laps, it could be Hansen leading this race at the very, once the pit stops all shake themselves out. So this race has got a few twists and turns left to throw at us.
Yeah, anytime you have a very heavy draft track like this, it definitely comes into race strategy and what they call racecraft. So it can really throw the dice and change the outcome, especially when you start throwing in the pit stops like we do. It really keeps it really interesting. You've got to stay tuned till the end to see who's going to be there.
My reckoning, and bear in mind that my maths is never good, let alone well on a broadcast, I think Hansen might have a 3-second lead over Simoes at the end. But wow, Pinheiro there, blinking on the back straight, heart attack for all involved behind him. That was Miney and Elson. McCain sends it to the inside. We have a pack once again, but they need to not cost themselves too much time. They need to work together, and drivers out for themselves don't tend to work together very often. Too wide as they head towards the penultimate corner once again. Kern, Rodriguez, Gibson, Wilson, Fritzster, all in the pit lane. Pit stops starting to happen once again. Jorgmani at the back of the field. You see there Jeff Fritzster, he is finally coming into the pits. Not quite sure. I thought that he'd already come into the pits, but Fritzster doing so now. McCain leads this pack. Elson, though, sends it to the inside of Pinheiro, utilising a little bit of a surprise attack, I think, on Pinheiro to make the move. McCain under pressure, but you know, they need to work together. They could be the race leaders if they play their cards right, Stevie, but they've got no way of knowing that from the car, and all they can really see is the car ahead of them, and that's exactly what Elson's doing. Tries to get past McCain. Pinheiro gets involved in on the action as well. Yorgmini he's not shy to make it 3 wide, though. Thinks better of it for now. Tucks in behind Pinheiro, pushing actually Pinheiro along that 16 car, getting the benefit of the bump draft. I mean, it is. I talked about NASCAR in the introduction. It's certainly played out that way so far. Samoas and Vega into the pits. Stevie, we're about to see the race unfold before our very eyes.
Yeah, I think typically it's 35 seconds drop from the lead down to where you fall back out. So, yeah, this could be interesting. I think Naselli's going to be right there.
Somebody had a little bit of an issue on the final corner. Had a little bit of carbon fiber damage noise as we see Vega and Samoa on the pit exit. Well, they're already exiting the pit, so actually they've got a really healthy gap there. So I said my maths wasn't going to be too good, and Vega now getting past the 319 car. That's a Vaglini in the background. So actually Pinheiro and that battle is nowhere near the race lead. Some 9 seconds behind Naselli is Pinheiro. Mainly though heading to the top of the pack with Elson in tow. McCain and Hansen dropped off a little bit on that last lap, but they're still getting the benefit of the slipstream. So mainly once again leads the pack. Certainly likes to be out front, likes to have the clean air. Elson has a look, has a think about sending it around the outside, but thinks better of it for now. McCain is, I think, going to be the de facto race leader in Spec 2, but with Hansen hot on his heels. Jesus Rodriguez trying to go defensive on the inside, trying to keep Yuri Cox behind him in the background. Another 3-wide battle action up and down the field in this race so far. Megan Overstreet, she, I think, was in the barriers at one point in this race, currently in 26, so taking her pit stop and running very well. And Darlo, Vaguely, Favini, they're all in the pits. And yes, it will be McCain in the Spec 2 race lead. Hansen in second with Vaguely third, Favini in fourth. But Favini, I mean, surely must have a little bit more pace up his sleeve. I mean, he's been running by himself for quite some time, pitted a lot later than the other cars ahead of him. So watch out for him in the latter stages. Gets out just ahead of Murakami, although I think Murakami might just be a lap or two down. Once again, battling down the back straight. I mean, you just couldn't make it up, Stevie. It's been such an action-packed race. Pinheiro, Elson, Maney, once again, all scrapping it out for position. Watch that 212 car in the background. That's Alan McCain. What can he do? Can he send it to the inside? Can he start to make up a few more positions? It's not just a class. You don't just score points in class. The higher up you finish, affects your points. So, there is an incentive for McCain to start sending it to the inside, start making his way past some of these cars, because McCain could be on for a great haul of points here.
Yeah, like you said, each position is worth more points, whether it doesn't matter what class you're in. So if you finish well ahead of your next competitor in your same class, you jump them pretty good. But we've got a split pack. We've got 3 guys out front all by themselves. Liger's back in the lead by over a second and a half. Naselli and Samoa's behind him. So this is really going to be interesting. Monty's back up to the lead of the Masters, and as you said, McCain and Hansen are dicing it out for the Spec 2 lead.
I wonder what happened to Felix Samoes, because he had Mateus Veiga right behind him as he entered the pit lane, I should say, but Samoes currently about 1.5 seconds or so behind the 22. As what's happened to Latsky, I wonder, while he's out of the race, towed to the pit. So Kane Latsky, another one of our drivers at some point, I think, was leading the race, finds themselves back into the pits. And well, this secondary pack, Yorgmini, Pinheiro, Elson, still scrapping it out. Nelson sends it once again to the inside. Gets his way up into 13th place. Burkett, what can he do in the 920 car? He's got the 4 up ahead of him of Vogel and Mitchell as they head through turn 5.
John Vogel there, a shout out to John Vogel. Him and his son Grant are real world Spec Racer 4 drivers, so he knows the racecraft. He knows what he's doing.
Certainly, I think will come in handy in today's proceedings. Vogel leading his pack at the moment, 23rd place overall, but this is the battle that we want to see. Is that car going a little bit slowly, or is that a little bit of a lapped car? I think it might be a lapped car of Paul Jackson. I think it is, as they all get past. It's down the back straight once again. Maney leads, Pinero second, Elson in third, and it's York Miney and Pinero there scrapping it out towards turn 5. Miney on the inside should have the theoretical advantage unless Pinero can pull off something special and hold it all the way around the outside of turn 5. You can use a little bit more runoff than you can at other tracks just to maybe keep that nose in play as they head towards the braking zone of the penultimate corner. Elson getting involved now. He's got an overlap with Pinero, but just has to back out of the move. So York Miney still in the lead of the second pack. 4th place overall, the lead in his class. And actually, you have to go all the way down to Nelson in 14th to find the next Masters car. So a great points haul once again for Miney. Yuri Cox, the number 086 car. He's having a quiet but good race. Currently in 22nd place, watching all of the carnage unfold up ahead of him. 4 or 3 places up for grabs if they continue to scrap out like they are. Round the outside goes Gibson on short through the final corner. Don't tend to see many successful overtakes around the outside of turn 7, but got away with that very nicely, did Gibson to this battle. Pinero, Maney still scrapping out, but Elson tries to go through the middle, tries to do the York Miney special and get the jump on both of them. McCain tries to follow through. He might just have York Miney. No, Elson pulls to the inside, tactically giving his slipstream out to the drivers that benefits him the most to give that slipstream to. As they head through the carousel for the 25th time of asking a very, very short lap around this circuit. Samoes, though, in the race lead, has brought that gap down to 0.4 of a second. Naselli in third. You could be having a little bit of a tasty fight.
Yeah, we're all 3 cars within a second up front. So
it's gonna be another heart-pounding finish to this race. Somebody was in the wall on the exit. I do believe that might have been York Miney just clipping the wall, a little bit of tyre smoke flying up. Not going to help your case one bit, especially, even if you bend the bodywork slightly, you need every, 0.5 of a mile an hour down the back straight to stay in contention. Any straight line speed damage to you will be disastrous for your race chances.
Yeah, if you get any kind of body damage, you don't want to be leading the peloton. You want to be back second or third and just tuck in the draft till the last second you can pull out if you want a chance of doing anything. But here we go, down the back straight, and again, whoever's leading is going to find himself 4th or 5th in the pack that they were leading.
Wilson is just playing the long game in the 3-1-2 car, just watching everybody battle it out ahead of him, sort of almost hoping that they all fly off the track in front of him and he could just sort of neatly drive through. I said Hansen was looking quick in this race. McCain, though, has really worked his magic to get up into that battle as well. Maney drops down in position, Pinero up to the lead car, but it doesn't really matter. We've seen how fluid the positions have been in this race as Favini tries to defend around the outside of the penultimate corner. That's Ndalo. He's racing, sorry, it's Vaguely. I do apologise for being ahead of Vaguely, but once again, that's sort of the lead of their pack. 10 or so seconds up to Andalo ahead of that Favini Vaguely fight. So no slipstream going to be on offer. Wilson heads into the pits. I think that might be his second pit stop of the day for John Wilson. A little bit of an update. There was one of the drivers who made their way up the field in some spectacular action. Trying to spot their name on the timing stands. Well, we see battling once again. This time McCain, he decides he wants to lead this pack. He likes the idea of being 4th in this race. Mainly, though, tries to instantly take it off. It sends it down the inside, heading into turn. Oh, contact! Pinero's gone wide. He's been tagged by McCain. I think it was a little bit off put by Maney heading to the inside. I don't know if there was contact between McCain and Maney, but, well, let's say Pinero, the real loser in that exchange. Pinero down to 9th place behind Ndalo. So 5 become 4 in the lead pack. Although Flavio Ndalo, where did he come from in this battle? I don't remember him being involved, but he's very much in check. And Pinero isn't too far behind. So, I said 5 become 4. I think 5 just became 7.
Yeah, never count them out. If they're in touch in the back within a second or so, they're going to catch up.
Absolutely supreme racing here today. Thoroughly enjoyable. Riding on board with Naselli, the number 3, or sorry, P3, gaining on Samoes, tries to make his way past and up into 2nd place. He's got a lot of speed though over Vega. Can he make the move into the lead? Yes, he can. That overspeed working a treat for Maurizio Naselli. He'll hit the brakes and undoubtedly will be your new race leader. And amazingly, I think it might be Naselli's first time leading this race. So a race win that looks sort of always in the bag for Mateus Vega a few laps ago. Under pressure, Jorg Meine has been under pressure since the pit stops. This time it's Elton trying to get past him. Alan McCain trying to get involved, I should say, as well, heading into the penultimate corner, backs off, mainly on the inside. Elton tries to find a way around the outside of the penultimate corner, can't find a way. Vega's in the pits. Has he picked up a little bit of damage, or is he not got enough fuel? Because that is a very unusual stop, and is surely going to take Mateus Vega out of not only the win, or contention for the win, but contention for any decent points in today's race.
Yeah, after the pit stops, Matthias was well out front, and I kind of wondered if he had short pitted, and I think we're seeing it here. He did not get enough gas to finish the race, is my belief.
Mateus Vega, in his haste to get out of the pit lane and to jump Samoes, ended up really, I have to say, shooting himself in the foot, and has to come into the pits, currently down in 16th place. Pinero, well, he's back involved in this fight. Who said that Pinero was out of the battle for what is now 3rd, the final place on the podium? Will it be a Spec 1 car? Will it be a Spec 2 car? Or will it be a Masters car? All involved in this fight. We've got Pinero, Elton, Maney, McCain, Hansen and Ndalo, all really within a good shot of getting the final place on the podium. Elton to the inside. He's still trying to find his way past Jorg Meine. He couldn't do it when Meine was the lead car. Can he do it now that Pinero has retaken the lead in this pack? Jorg Meine defends so hard into the final 2 corners. Gets the inside line. Keeps the place. Now McCain looking at Elton. Pinero just wants these 2 behind to fight. White flag, 1 lap to go. Naselli leads over Samoes, Pinero in 3rd. Who will be the final car on the podium? Who will win this race? So many questions that we'll get an answer to very shortly. But
Felix Samoes is in a good position for up front, and this pack of 5, I would have to look at Monty or maybe even Elson. I don't think I'd want to be the lead.
Samoes takes the lead. Sorry to cut across you there. Naselli tries to get it back. I thought he was going to lift off the throttle just to try and ease Samoes past to get the slipstream so Naselli could send it to the inside again. Well, it's all action in the background, 3 wide as they head through turn 5. We've got Pinero on the inside. McCain trying to find his way past Maney. Maney might just get this 3rd place. He just needs to keep it on the track. Naselli, though, takes the race win back. Samoes is going to brake late, send it into the penultimate corner. He needs to defend with his absolute life if he wants to take this race win. He'll round the final corner, and it will be Felix Samoes taking the race win here today. But who will be in 3rd behind? I think it might just be Jorg Meine. It's going to be a battle to the line, but I think Jorg Meine's just about got it. And Ndalo, he's in the pit lane, not quite sure why he's felt the need to dive into the pits. It's the final flag. It was the final lap of the race. Just has to get across the checkered. I wonder if he's run out of fuel as well. Vaguely will come across the line in 9th place, and Ndalo limps across the line to finish in 8th. Pavini in 10th, Green 11th, Nelson 12th. What a finish that was. So we've still got battling in the background. Gibson, Cox and Shaw all just scrapping their way through the final corner. But after, I think, and I'm not just saying this, Stevie, because you're on the commentary booth with me, that was hands down the most enjoyable race I've ever watched in a commentary booth. Can we just do this every weekend, please? I don't think Megan Overstreet will be saying the same thing, though. That looks
She ran
very
out of
much
gas.
like a car that's running out of fuel, and I wonder if there's anybody out on the circuit that might just nudge that stricken car across the line, because it's not going to make it under its own power, is it?
Come on, guys, be a gentleman and help Megan across the line.
She might just do it. A little bit of speed, just clutching in.
I don't think so. You got Phil here, so.
And they say it's always the final few meters that are the hardest. Just inching that car to get across the line. The 44 car, Megan Overstreet, can she get across the line in third place? She's starting to crawl.
Get out of it, push it if she could.
Oh, I think, yeah, we would see some reminiscent. The white flag or the checkered flag waves. It almost as a little bit of encouragement. Oh, McCain, you could have 2-1-2. You could have just pushed Megan across the line, but I don't think she'll quite make it. But well, after the most frantic end to the race I think I've ever had in commentary, that was a nice change of pace there as we watch Megan try and get across the line. Is anybody gonna just give a little bit of a help?
Nope. I'm gonna push it. Nope, I'm not.
Nope, nobody.
Was that 40 minutes of action racing or what?
It was 40 minutes of me losing my voice. Is anybody going to give the stricken Megan a little bit of a tow? Oh, well, that's one way of giving a tow. But she's not going to make it after all of that.
I think that was the guys after the last finisher. Well, Megan was the last finisher. She didn't cross it. So we may have a little incident there. Usually after the last person crosses the finish line, the demo derby is free to start.
So it was more of a tactical move to get the demolition derby underway. I am going to let you, Stevie, take the race results.
All right. Wow, what a win. Felix Mose does it again. He won by, 0.25 seconds over Mauricio Naselli. It looked like Naselli was going to get at that last lap and just battle back and forth, and Felix called it right. Jordan Manny won over the Masters and led that second pack. Steve Ellison brought home the S1 bronze medal. Alan McCain wins the Spec 2 guys. Todd Hansen and Aaron Vagley are joining him on the podium for the S2. Andreas Favini just right behind him. Jason Green, and then we have Michael Nelson on second, and Jim Brewster bringing home the rest of the podium for the Masters. Tom Gradrell, Ken Batley, and poor Matthias Weiger running out of gas, finishes 14th. Jeff Fritcher, Ian Gibson, Jory Cox, and Brian Short bring up the top 18. Marco Pinero drops all the way back to 19th after a good, strong race. Marcus Burkett in the top 20. Charlie Vaccaro, another one of the SCCA drivers that I know, finishes 21st. Stephen Mitchell, Kuzma, Illinois, I think he started in the back, 47th or something. He came up to 23rd. Flavio Andalo, Gianni Longan, Jeff Jacobson, we saw him have a wreck earlier, get back in there. Bobby Moss in his initial outing with us finishes 27th. Gary Wobolt, 28th. 29th goes to John Wilson, another one of our SCCA guys. Bob Kern, Megan Overstreet, after all that, is first one a lap down in 31st. Miro Rasky, 32nd. Paul Jackson, Christopher Smith, Michele Faglini, sorry about that. Dan Babbitt on his return finishes 36th. Chris Murakami drops all the way down to 37th, a couple of laps down. And Jesus Rodriguez, 38th. Man, this is a big grid. 39th, John Vogel. Mentioned him earlier. Kane Lasky, after a strong battle up front, finishes 40th. Andreas Bertoni, after his big leap through the field, ends up 11 laps down. These are the guys that didn't finish. Adam Bradshaw, Jeff Cantor, Leandro Pino, Colby Kersey, Yangtze Lin, we saw in an earlier accident, Sean Vincent, and Xander Vanderlei. That's the 48 drivers that started this race under green, back-to-back, all the way around the track.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And, well, if you didn't think that race was good enough, let's talk to some of our drivers to get a little bit of an insight into what happened. And, well, there's only one driver to start off with, and that has to be your overall race winner. Welcome once again to the commentary booth, Felix. A superb race win by yourself. I mean, what an incredible race that was today.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, it was. It was quite a weird race. I tried to get out of trouble as much as I could. But unfortunately, some of the guys were not that lucky, and there was some crashes that took most of the fast guys. Then at some point, it was just me and Matthias. So I thought to myself, okay, this is going to be us. We have to work together. And we easily pull away from the rest. So I thought that was it. But then after the pit stop, so I figured that my pit stop would be longer because I was pushing Matthias. He was always behind me, so he was saving some fuel. But I figured I was slightly bit faster, so I wasn't too worried about that. But I was surprised when I came out of the pits, there was Maurizio behind me. So I was like, okay, this will be a three-way fight for the win. And then, yeah, Matthias unfortunately needed to do that splash and dash, and that was it. I mean, and then I knew I did not want to go in the last lap ahead. My bet was to, as I did, to pass on the back straight and then defend after that. But Maurizio almost got me going to the second last corner, but then he was conservative in the braking. I went ahead, and that was it. It was a good race for me. The result was good. It could have been a bit more fun if there were more people fighting for the win, but on the other hand, was a calm race after all.
It was superb to watch, and once again, Felix, congratulations on your superb drive. Next week, wow, we head to VIR, another track that I think might be a little bit heavy on the slipstream. Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I like VIR. There is the effect of the slipstream also, not as much as this one, of course. Yeah, but VIR is a nice track, so it's going to be fun also.
Awesome. Well, we will let you go and celebrate your race win. Before we let you go, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at all?
Yes, of course, to everybody that participates in the race, that makes this race is so nice to have, the organization from Stevie and you guys in the commentary booths, and of course the sponsors of the series.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come and have a chat with us in the commentary booth. And once again, congratulations on your race win.
Thank you.
That was Felix Samoes, your overall race winner. Tell you what, Stevie, I think we might have found another driver. I do believe we have Jorg Miney standing by. I tell you what, we'll bring him into the commentary booth and Stevie, you can take it away.
Hey, Jorg, congratulations on your Masters win again.
Oof, I'm still breathing, Stevie.
That was quite a race. It was awesome to watching up here. And after your early incident, did you think that you'd get back up front?
No, to be honest, I was really pissed. That's why I had done a horrible rejoin, and I apologize for that by the guys. I usually don't do that, but I was really pissed. I needed about 3 laps to calm down, but then said, okay, keep your act together. Try to do a good pit stop. And for once, I did not mess up my pit stop. I was on the right speed. Even that I was correct. So yeah, it was actually a lot of fun at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like you were having a lot of fun. You said you worked your way back up to third overall. So again, congrats on that. The old guys, we just have something else that the younger guys haven't figured out yet, don't you think?
Yes, definitely, but we won't tell Stevie. Not yet, at
That's
least.
it. We won't tell. All right, York, again, congratulations on your win. Anybody else you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, to everybody, to Apex Racing as well for broadcasting that, for the sponsor. And don't blame me, I totally forgot the name because my brain is brainwashed at the moment. Don't correct me
Race.
anymore.
Yeah.
But thanks a lot, guys, for broadcasting all the time. Stevie, you for putting up that league together. It's really fun to drive. I really urge everybody who likes to try out the Spec Forward, try it, come to our league, and try to learn as well from us. We are glad to help to everybody.
Yeah, thanks for the kind words, Jorg. It definitely is a fun group, but as Jorg says, if you get out there and ask, they will help you.
Yeah, definitely. RaceVoice. Now I got the name of the
There you
sponsor.
go.
I think my brain comes back now. Thanks a lot, guys. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Jorg.
That was Jorg Money P3 overall, and well, P1 in the Masters class. We've got time for one more interview, and well, I think we might have found Alan McCain, your Spec 2 race winner. Welcome to the commentary booth, Alan. A great race from yourself. I mean, you were battling sort of up at the, well, I think for P1 at one point. Crazy race. It was all about survival, but you must be pretty pleased with the class win.
Certainly, I'm over the moon. I didn't think I would be just as high up tonight.
I mean, I'm sure you didn't. It was a crazy race. What was your strategy? Was it all about survival, or did you go out there just wanting to attack as much as possible to try and get the class win?
No, I sort of just had it in my head just to go out, settle in, see where everybody is, pit whenever I'm with a fast guy, and just volley them out. And it kind of worked out because I took less fuel than Andreas Bertoni, got out in front of him, which left me in front of Todd Hansen, which was the group leader at the time. And I went from there, and I was just quite happy following and along with the group that I was in with.
And then, what was your? Did at any point did you think, well, actually, I could get on the podium here, or was it all about securing that class win when you were in that pack towards the end of the race?
It did cross my mind with 2 laps to go. I could make a run for this, but it would be. And then I thought of it, and then I thought, no, it'd be still silly because they would catch me up the back straight, and just it would be silly. Just they would be all back past me again. Even Todd would end up past me, I think. So I think I just done right and stayed where I was.
And I guess you have to sort of think like that on the fly when you're. I mean, it was so frenetic out there. I mean, I don't think at any point anybody had a chance to really sort of sit back and analyze what was going on. And it certainly seemed that if you could keep calm, you could really benefit. We head to VIR next week, which is another track which I think will have the same characteristics. Long straights, a lot of slipstream. Do you think you can do well there as well?
No, not at all. I don't really like the track. I don't gel with it very well. But there's always next week to get all the practice in and see if I can improve.
Well, we will wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much, Alan, for coming to talk to us in the commentary booth, and congratulations on your Spec 2 class win.
Thank you very much.
That was Alan McCain. Your he finished, I should say, 6th place overall, but first in class. And Stevie, how do you round off that race? I mean, I have many words to describe that, but wow, I think sums up most of it.
Yeah, wow's a good one. I knew from the start it was going to be nothing but action for 40 minutes, and that's what it proved. There were a few incidents, and like I said, this kind of track with so many cars, you're going to have some incidents, but I think our guys did well, put on a good show, a lot of action, a lot of good racing. So next week, as you said, VIR, that's a tricky track. It takes a while to learn it. There's going to be I think the SDK and iRacing has a special week going there next week as well. So a lot of time available for VR next week.
Cannot wait for then. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and what a great job everybody did on the circuit. My name has been Sebastian Bosch-Williams. I've been joined by Stevie Ray alongside me and Lewis Ward in the production booth. We'll be back in 1 week's time as the SRF Weekend Warrior Series heads to VIR.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.